Thank you. Sorry? Sorry, Leslie. Thank you. Agenda item 5 is to deal with such announcements as I may decide to lay before Council. Together with Councillor Margaret Isherwood, I was delighted to present awards at the annual celebration of Achievement Awards for our children in care on Saturday the 1st of December. The celebration was a very special event that allowed councillors, carers, practitioners and managers to celebrate the progress and accomplishments of our children in care. I would like to express my thanks to everyone who supported my carol service last Wednesday evening at the Wakefield Cathedral. It was lovely to see a full to capacity cathedral enjoying a traditional carol service. I am pleased to announce that my charity fundraising for the Regional Burns Unit in Pinderfields has now exceeded £8,000. Can I take this opportunity to thank everyone who has supported my numerous and varied fundraising activities over the last few months. The Mayoress and I have spent the last few weeks greatly enjoying the company of many of the residents of our wonderful city, from pantomimes, productions, Christmas lunches, services and parties. The district is certainly looking forward to the Christmas season. Following our meeting this afternoon, please do join me in the Mayor's Parlour for seasonal natter and nibbles. Finally, colleagues, as we look forward to Christmas and the New Year, can I wish all of you and your families and loved ones a happy and peaceful Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Thank you, colleagues, and that concludes my announcements. As no deputations have been received for today's meeting, we will now move to agenda item 7, which is the Leader's Report. Once the Leader has presented his report, he will answer any questions from members on the matters raised in his report. A maximum of 30 minutes will be allowed for questions and answers. Councillor Box.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just one or two things this month. We've now got the financial settlement through from government. It is slightly better than we anticipated, so we will be updating the medium-term financial plan. That will go to Cabinet and then back to Council in due course, so we can see the implications for all of us. I had a meeting with Jake Berry, the Northern Powerhouse Minister, talking about devolution. The 5 West Yorkshire leaders met him. We put forward the case for 1 Yorkshire. I think the government is still adamant that they would prefer to see 4 separate combined authorities, each with its own mayor, and then moving towards potentially a larger geography in the future. So really we're still at stalemate. We've written to the Minister saying that we want an extension of the growth deal because the funding runs out fairly soon. So that's imperative that we get a decision from government. Last month, Mr Mayor, I had a visit to Daneroyd School, and I mentioned to the head teacher, Claire Kelly, I would raise that today. I was with Councillor Harvey, and I have to say that I didn't realise I'd be sat alongside Councillor Harvey, listening to 5-year-old children singing to us in Mandarin, Chinese Mandarin. They've got a wonderful school there, which teaches children both Chinese Mandarin and French from the age of 5 years, and they've got Spanish as an extracurricular activity. But the thing that makes me want to mention it today, Mr Mayor, is that the school have got strong links with China. And they've got a teacher exchange programme, and it's something that we as a council should pick up on. As you know, we've got strong developing links with China, so I'm proposing, Mr Mayor, that we look at how the work that Daneroyd is doing and other schools can dovetail with the work that the local authority is doing. Hopefully we can come back at a future stage with some joint work that might be possible. Before the meeting I was speaking to Sandra Pickin, our Armed Forces champion, and Councillor Joe Hepworth. I think everybody recognises that thanks to Sandra, Wakefield is one of the leading authorities in the work we do for ex-service people. One of the things that we've talked about is whether we can have, as an annual event, a civic reception the members of the armed forces. It's something that I think is particularly relevant, and so does Sandra. So with your indulgence, Mr Mayor, when I finished answering questions, and hopefully as it's Christmas there won't be many, you'll allow both Sandra and Joe to say a few words about how we might proceed as I've suggested. And finally, Mr Mayor, the last thing I want to say is a big thank you to all our staff. We've got many staff who will be working over the Christmas period or will be on call. And I'd just like to, on behalf of all of us, all councillors, thank them for all the work they do every day of the week for the last year. Sometimes in difficult conditions, as Matthew Morley will tell you, in terms of the highways teams. So a big thank you to all of them from all of us. And to echo your sentiments to wish everybody happy Christmas. If you've not got my card yet, I can assure you it's in the post.
Thank you, Councillor Box. Are there any questions on Councillor Box's report? Sandra? Councillor Picking.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would just, before we go to the civic centre, I'd just like to say thanks to all Wakefield Met staff who supported us this last year. And if people don't know, we have done 2 freedom parades this year by Yorkshire Regiment and the Rifles. Our Armed Forces Day, which was an excellent success, over 20,000. The War Horse at Featherstone. But working with the Veterans Breakfast Clubs that we do, and the Hub, and the Royal Reserve Forces Cadets Association, and all the other things that we do, Wakefield Met are leading the way. I went to an event in London and I couldn't believe that their champions and their councils don't do what we do. So my thanks go to everybody that we do already for supporting what we do. But a civic reception to say thank you would be a great way to show our appreciation to reserves, veterans and our staff that work for us. So I'd appreciate us being looking into that to see if we could do, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Sandra Picking. Councillor Epworth.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to start by thanking Councillor Picking for all the work she does as an armed forces champion, and I think it's right that we honour serving personnel and veterans whenever possible, so a civic dinner is the best way to do it forward as addition to what we do at the moment. So thank you.
Thank you. Others? Councillor Harvey.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to report to the full council that I had the pleasure to receive the leader of the council, Councillor Box, to come to Gainroy Junior and Infant School for a visit. During the visit on 29th of November, Councillor Box was very impressed by the pupils' enthusiasm for learning and the quality of language teaching we had in our school in Spanish, French and Chinese. We were asked to judge the entry for the language competition, and it must say it was a very tough call. Would you agree? I was glad to see that he had a great time at our school and was very impressed, and I'm sure that he would have equally enjoyed attending one of the 8 fantastic Christmas processions which took place last week as well, featured elaborating costume, singing and dancing. I have the pleasure to confirm that our school was inspected by Ofsted in November and has been judged as outstanding. I'm also a governor of West Breton Junior and Infant School as well, which is another good school in the district with committed head teacher and teaching staff. You may say that our schools are bucking the trend in the district given the backdrop of the issues in children's services. But I believe that the main reason for our success is the high quality of teaching staff to whom we owe so much. I think that the recruitment of teaching personnel is a key in working towards a higher performance in our local area. As a governor of 2 schools, I call on Councillor Box to tell us, the council, what we can do in terms of incentives and preferential policy to attract and retain talented teachers to come and work in our district, so that every child in Wakefield have had the same access to a solid education. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Box. Would you like to reply to that, please? Are there any other questions or statements on Councillor Box's report? Thank you, Councillor Box. We shall now move on to agenda item 8, which is to receive written Cabinet members' reports in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 14.1. Cabinet members have up to 5 minutes to present their report, and there are a further 15 minutes allocated to enable each Cabinet member to respond to any questions or brief comments on issues within their respective portfolios. First report is from Councillor Mrs Jeffrey. Councillor Mrs Jeffrey, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In the report, you'll see that there are a number of town centre initiatives going on. The Pontefract Master Plan is well underway, so is the Nottingham one. And we're doing so much in our town centres to regenerate them. And further on the agenda, we have the city centre report. And I can't stress enough how much our towns and cities are under threat. Everybody seems to be shopping except me, because I don't know how to do it, on the internet now. But the High Street is really suffering across our district, and we need to be ever vigilant to protect our town centres and do all we can to do that. The other thing I'd like to raise is the local development framework. It's now passed through a number of hurdles, and I know there was a seminar for members. There's going to be another one in January, and I can't stress enough how important it is for all members to be aware of the developments that are taking place in their area. This plan will be set in stone for a number of years, and we need to get it right. Whilst we're doing all this redevelopment and regeneration, we mustn't forget about people who are struggling. And you'll see on page 10 about the interest-free loans that we've been giving out to people who are struggling to get loans, elderly people who don't find it easy to get a loan. And we're able to give them loans to provide heating and extra warmth in their own homes and things that they need help with that they haven't been able to get. So our poverty agenda is really high in the council's priorities, and we, as I say, we're keen to do the regeneration, but we mustn't forget that other people are struggling, particularly at this time. And I do commend the Strategic Housing Department for the work that they've done on this interest-free loan. It's been really, really good.
Are there any questions or brief comments on Councillor Mrs Jeffrey's report? Councillor Burton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to give credit to the officer team really on the Nottingham work, Mr Mayor. The vision is
The Health. Councillor Mrs Garbutt, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, in my report there's quite a lot of information on alcohol awareness. You know, this time of year people do take a tipple or two, but you know, we've got to make sure that people drink, you know, responsibility at the end of the day. With regards to, I attended Peer Mentor graduation. Some of these people here have already suffered with various drug, alcohol and that sort of